Good evening and welcome to the Public Safety Committee. Voting members, to my right, we have the Vice Chair, Stephanie Infante, Councilor District E. We have online Councilor at Large, Selena Reyes, and myself, the Chair of this committee, Giovanni Rodriguez, Councilor District E. Pursuant Chapter 20 of the Act of 2022, this meeting of the Public Safety Committee is being conducted both in person and remote participation. A reminder that a person who would like to listen or to view this meeting while in progress might either attend in person at the location above or use one of the following access locations: the Lawrence City Council page for Facebook, as well as the Lawrence City Council page for YouTube. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. All right, we have a few items tonight for the Public Safety Committee. And starting on top of the agenda, we have a new business, item 19223, prevention plan development. It was put together by myself, Councilor Giovanni Rodriguez, and today we have the fire department chief, and we would like to talk about this item. Good evening, Chief. Name and address for the record.
I'm sorry?
Name and address for the record.
Brian Moriarty, Lawrence Fire Chief, 65 Lowell Street.
I was curious about this item, and after discussing with people, we thought that it was important to kind of know how to develop a plan, like a family type of thing, how people should react when it comes to an accident or when it comes to a fire.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know how to react.
You
I
didn't?
haven't
think
had that
you did.
experience.
I think
And I
comments.
was wondering about how many people do not know what to do.
Well, I think you're being modest. I think you know exactly to get out. Right? It's the first thing. Get out, call 911. But what we do throughout the year is we've obtained safe and senior safe grants. We go to some of the elderly housing complexes and we teach some firefighters that take public safety education courses, and they've presented to the elderly risk things that are bad for them. Stand by your pan. It's a phrase. When you're cooking, we have a lot of cooking fires. To prevent a cooking fire, stay in the kitchen. Don't leave the kitchen. So the phrase is stand by your pan. Or if you should catch fire, put a lid on it. You know, simple little phrases. And we have a lot of brochures that we give out in that, and we have a number of them that are bilingual in many different languages. I printed up a few tonight that I could leave here with you folks. I wasn't sure what exactly you wanted, but we also have developed, and we didn't, when I say we, the Lawrence Fire Department didn't design these. These come from the Department of Fire Service, the State Fire Marshal's Office, DFS. They have a whole group of people that work on this and do it in many different languages, some of them. And there's one for fire safety for newcomers. This one's kind of like a book. And it goes over all those things that you would like to know about if you were new to this country. 911, I don't know what other countries dial for an emergency. It gives basic get out of the house, electric safety, cooking safety. Don't touch electrical wires, don't overload your socket, some basic first aid stuff. And that's actually, I printed it up. I can leave it here for you. It's too big to try to go through page for page. But it's educational stuff like that. And specifically, you mentioned, what do I do if there's a fire in my house and a family plan? We go to the schools and we teach what's called the Edith model, escape drills in the home. So when the firefighters go in and they teach kids not to play with matches, not to play with lighters, stop, drop, and roll, all that stuff. We start with young kids and work our way up. And then we get to the point where if you have a fire in your house, what are you going to do? We teach them, you know, always sleep with your bedroom door closed. Make sure there's smoke detectors in every room. And if you hear it, what do? Well, before you open the door, you touch it, and you feel if it's hot with the back of your hand. And the reason you touch it with the back of your hand and not your hand like this is your instant reflex is to grab something. Even if you weren't trying to do it, or if it was electrified, you'd grab it. So you touch it with the back of your hand so you can pull away. If it's hot, don't open it. So we want to teach the kids 2 ways out of a bedroom. This is why we in the fire service are so big on having 2 ways out of an apartment. You know, not only do you go out the door, but you might have to go out the window and onto a back porch, or maybe down a fire escape if there's one there, a ladder. Throw a ladder. They have fire escape ladders that can be stored in people's homes, tied off on a windowsill or a hook draped over it, and you can climb down that way. Jump off onto your porch and wait there. At least you're out of the smoke and flames. I think you may remember it wasn't a child, but it was an adult not too long ago, a couple of years ago. We had up on Arlington Street, we had a house fire, 3rd floor apartment that shouldn't have been there. A woman was asleep in her bedroom, and the fire started in a room between her and the stairs. It was quite a severe, heavy, bad fire, severe fire. She was trapped in her bedroom. She had to go out a bedroom window. And she was out, when the firefighters got there, she was on a porch, on a 2nd floor porch, on the roof, waiting to be rescued. Our firefighters from Lawrence went up there, put a ladder up, climbed up, grabbed her, carried her down the ladder, took care of her. And that's an escape. So we teach kids 2 ways out of every room. So escape drills in the home. And then where do you go? We want to teach them to go to what we call a public meeting place. In other words, you know, Johnny and Susie, you know, when we have a house fire, and you might get on it on your own, but be over at the big tree in the front of the yard, and Mom and Dad will meet you there, or whoever. Everybody in the house, this is where we're going to meet. And the reason we do that is when the fire department shows up, after you've called 911, the firefighters will say, is everybody out of the building? And you can look and you can say, yes, we're all here, we're all out. Nobody's missing. And never go back in, because you're probably not going to come back out. Never go back in for a pet. And I know that that's hard, but I've, over the years, had countless different incidents that I've heard of, read of, been involved in, where people have gone in for pets and didn't make it out. So let us know. We'll try to find your pet. We were lucky enough to find a dog in this last Juniper Street fire on the 2nd floor, was trapped, and we were able to get that out. So we do make our effort to go in there. But don't go back in yourself. We have the equipment, we have the turnout gear, the air packs, they can protect us, hose lines. So we have escape drills in the home, public meeting place, call 911, stop, drop, and roll, all those different things. And we do have many brochures. And we're big about this on Fire Prevention Week in October. When we have the open house in the fire station, we try to do all that education, bring the kids in, make it a little fun, have some games, from face painting, some balloons, ice cream, and we give out some brochures. In the past, we've given out smoke detectors, because we want to make sure everybody has a smoke detector in the house, and in all floors, in the sleeping areas. We really want them in every room nowadays, but especially when you sleep with the door closed, which is great, because it'll protect you for a long time, keep the products of fire out, heat, smoke. But if the fire, it keeps it all out, it doesn't set off your single detector, smoke detector either, unless they're hardwired in together, if they're looped together. Battery ones, they're not going to be looped together unless they're Bluetoothed. But the fire starts in the room with the door closed, and we're in another room, we're not going to hear it either. So we want a smoke detector in every room. But those are pretty much basics. It's common sense, really, to get out, learn about the public meeting place, whether your mailbox, the driveway. In this city, we're very close together. You can go on the front porch of your next door neighbor and be protected and wait. But everybody should know the same place. Don't you go to the front porch of the neighbor and you go to the mailbox. We all want to go to the same place. Take accountability for everybody, make sure you're all there. Tell us when we get there so we know that there's nobody trapped inside. Makes our job a lot easier. We don't have to, we know everybody's out. We don't have to be risking our lives searching for somebody that's not there. We can actually just go to attack the fire.
Well, there's a lot of information, important information for the public. There is other things that people might not know. In doors and walls, they are fire rated within a specific rate, meaning that they can protect people from one side or the other side against fire.
But that's really not a fire safety, the resident, that's about construction, and meeting building codes when they build a building, build a house. It's not something we even push in public education, because it's really all about contractors. When they build a house, they have to build it to code, and they should know what the code is, have it reviewed, and that's sheet rock is better than the stuff they used to have. Fire-rated sheet rock, you have to have a fire-rated door if your garage is attached to the house as opposed to separate. But those aren't really public safety things. Those are specific for when you're building a construction project, and contractors know the codes.
No, definitely. But that's important to, because a lot of people, they think like, okay, you just go ahead and grab a door when you have a specific code that it might protect you eventually. If you don't, buy the right door. It's not just, any door. But I mean, in general, I think that, having this type of information, it's important for our general population in terms of getting to, in a specific place to meet after fire. It will make the firefighter job a lot easier.
Agreed.
Because, I mean, if everybody's out, at least they don't have to worry about a body. But if somebody's missing...
Best news we hear when we go to a fire, everybody's out.
No, and definitely we appreciate you coming. I'll definitely gonna post information that you're gonna provide.
Would you like me to leave it here for you?
Yeah, and
Sure.
then we can get
I have a number of different brochures: space heaters, carbon monoxide, electrical safety, preventing mulch fires, that's big now, they keep warm, keep safe, cooking, and then a welcome fire safety for newcomers. I can leave it all with you, and you guys can make copies, scan it, do whatever you'd like.
Thank you so much, and Councilor Infante.
Through you, Chair. I have a suggestion for you, Chief. I know, aside from having pamphlets and when the fire department participates in like events and schools and all that stuff, I know we have social media pages.
I have a Facebook page, and I have a Twitter page, but I don't really have anybody to run them. It's
So
kind of something I do on my own.
that's my suggestion. I do know the business technology shop at Greater Lawrence Tech offers services to the public.
Well,
It's more of a learning. They create graphics, they help with social media and stuff like that. I can connect you to the lead teacher to see if
Awesome.
there could be a partnership there.
sure, that'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Infante. And those are little things that, it might be helpful.
Absolutely.
I follow your Twitter account, and I think that even though you probably don't have time to do it, but I mean, there is a lot of information that it's important, and it's good. At the end of the day, what we're trying to do here is to prevent fires
Absolutely.
and prevent any type of actions when it comes to public safety. Any questions, councilors? I hear none, so thank you so much, Chief. Thank you for
Welcome.
coming.
Thanks.
All right. Our next item on the agenda, we have a few updates that I request. Yeah,
Motion to table.
there's a motion to table. Can I hear a second? All right, call the roll, calls. Councilor Reyes.
Yes,
Councilor Infante.
Yes.
I vote yes. The next item on the agenda that we request for an update was item 26222, which is the environmental and drainage safety issue on Ward Street, lower section of that street. We have name and address for the record.
Yep, William Hale, 7 Agnes Terrace, Methuen, Mass.
And you are?
Water and Sewer
All
Commissioner.
right, great. All right, Commissioner, we touched base on this item during the budget session, and I think it was going to be important for us to discuss what's going to be the plan for us to proceed. So do you have any update on this?
Yep, so
You have sent some
basically,
information already.
yes, so last year when we originally came to public safety and we had discussed this, there was 2 different scenarios that we can repipe that intersection, that whole area there. It's about 425 feet. The flow there is not good at all, so it just needs to, the pitch needs to be redone there, and it needs updated with PVC piping. And then we also were gonna install 2 carbon filters, one on Embankment Street and then one off of Bay State Road. So we wanna do, I think, a combination of both scenarios, just so we can make sure we eliminate the odor. At that time, though, we weren't able to submit that for SRF because it's due in August. So we will be submitting this, so this updated memo here, it just summarizes. We did do a few things in between that time. We installed some hoods on the catch basins. We added some, it's like cherry bomb stuff. It's an additive to reduce the odor in that area. We cleaned all the lines out in that area. And there was a protruding lateral. It's a sewer line, like a private sewer line coming into the main. So we cut that out. That would allow the flow, because it was sticking out too far, so that will allow the flow in the pipe. It helped it a little bit, the flow's going, but obviously the odor is still there. So we definitely have to do the repiping and add new manholes and catch basins there. Northeast Environment, it's 28 Water Street,
That's the company that we're talking about?
yes. So in the meantime, I did reach out to, it's Porter Odor Science. They were recommended by Greater Lawrence Sanitary District. They work, obviously, they have a sanitary plant there, so they want to make sure they're reducing odors. So she recommended that company. I contacted them. They're scheduled to come out Wednesday, and they're going to walk the site. I gave them the studies that we had done from Woodard and Curran, so he's reviewing those. And that's his specialty, so he'll know everything about it. He knows about that type of facility operating.
So, going back, no, that's great that you're doing this, but going back to the sewer pipe that you guys found, do you
Yes.
know how they use that pipe for what?
So my understanding is that facility separates, they take in waste from grease traps. That's what I was told, and that basically separates the grease and the water, and then they release the water back into the sewer system.
How we know that that's what they were doing?
So
That's
they're
what I'm saying.
permitted with Greater Lawrence. So the executive director was gonna forward me all the permitting and everything that they submit to them. And then once I get those documents, I will send them over to the council so you can review them.
Because I don't know, I mean, essentially what the issue here is that all of a sudden, after some time in the afternoon, the smells start coming up. And funny enough, that's when they start doing the work at the plant.
Yeah, so Wednesday is, we're gonna have the investigation from this company, and we'll be able to say like 100% whether that's affecting it or not. The indication is that it seems like it's not them, but we want to make sure 100% before we invest this type of money into that.
Have you contacted DEP at all?
So that will kind of be a last resort. So I want to do this investigation with Porter Odor Science. Once we get the conclusion from that, if we have to, we can, but I don't think it's necessary at the moment, just because we're talking with Greater Lawrence that they are permitted, and we've had inspectors in there numerous times. And from what everybody's saying, I was in the building, I think it smells, a little bit. It wasn't anything like what you're smelling out when you're in traffic on Water Street. So we think it's more of the hydrogen sulfide buildup. What it is Embankment Street is a dead-end sewer. So it starts from Spectre Textile, that last building, like halfway down Embankment, and flows down, takes a right past 28 Water Street, and then goes behind the building underneath the river there. So it's a big dead-end section. So I think it's something to do with, definitely need to repipe that.
I mean, yeah, okay. I don't think you should just leave DEP for the last resource. I think that they specialize on things like that too. And having them come and evaluate the situation pretty much won't cost the city money, even though it is important to have an independent investigation as well. But don't leave the EP as a last resource, because I mean, once you get the EP involved, anybody that have a violation might hide it to us, but not to the EP.
Okay, yeah, so they may have been involved previously, I'm not sure, so I'm gonna look into that, whether they were contacted before.
I don't think they have been involved as far as information that I have get. That is within my district, and I highly appreciate everything you have done there.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna take care of it. I mean, I would love to be the one that gets this resolved, like the odor is terrible, I understand, I drive on Water Street all the time. If you look at, we're looking at close to $650,000 for this project, so it's very important that we do submit it to, for SRF, which is State Revolving Fund. If they accept this as a project, it'll be around 1.5% to 2% interest. If we wanna move, so it'll take about a year for that to happen, between the submitting the project evaluation and then getting the loan. If we did it sooner than that, it would be a municipal bond, but it's like 4 to 5%, whatever the rates are at the time. And you're looking at another $200,000 in interest over the life of that loan. So I think it's very important that we go for the SRF funding for this, and I think they will accept it as a project, so.
All right, let's keep us posted. Councilors, any questions in regard to this? I hear no, so at this point, thank you so much for coming, and
welcome.
and keep us posted, keep us updated, and send us, especially, get in touch with DEP. That will be essential. It could be a violation that somebody is doing, and probably don't cost the city money.
Okay,
All
thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Councilors, at this time, I want to send a motion to table.
So moved.
All right, there is a motion to table properly. Can I hear a second? All right, properly second. I call the questions. Councilor Reyes. Councilor Infante.
Yes.
And I vote yes. The next item, we have a few updates from the police department, and probably we're gonna take that as a package, since probably they all related. But one of them is the noise handling by the illegal non-registered motor vehicles. So we know that we have an ordinance, so what we're gonna do with that. The other one is item 11413, which is the crime city statistics. The other one is the Trust Act. So let me get all those numbers. Wait, let me get all those numbers so we can get it as a package. Let me see, what is the trust? Councilors, can I get a motion to take it off table and as a package item 12522, 21718, 13317, and 11413?
So moved.
All right, there is a motion on the table, properly second, to take this out of the table matter and as a block. I call the questions. Councilor Reyes. Councilor Infante.
Yes.
And I vote yes. Well, welcome. Name and address for the record, and let's talk about this fight.
Hi, Michael McCarthy, representing Lawrence Police Department. And the first item, 12422, enforcement for motorcycles. As you know, the council passed a new ordinance that gave us another tool in assisting us to enforce the motorcycle violations. We also continue to work with other agencies to address, it's a nationwide issue, so we have to team up with the Mass State Police and neighboring communities and see what's successful that they've done and try to implement the same things here, and if it hasn't been, then we can pivot and move to something else. We also conduct joint operations with the Mass State Police and other agencies at different times during the year, but mostly we try to gather intelligence, see where they're gathering, see if we can see where they meet up, where they gas up, and where they congregate. Do you have any specific questions regarding those that I might be able to help you out with?
It is important to recognize that we actually put an ordinance through which prohibit much of things, including selling gas to a non-registered motorcycle. Now with enforcement, I hear you saying that the police department is partnered up with other entities to ensure that what we do is successful in gather intelligence. I think that's great. Have we been successful in terms of catching any illegal bikes?
Yes, we have made several arrests so far this year. As you know, pursuits are frowned upon these days, so we have caught a couple of them pulling into a gas station. We've used unmarked vehicles, so we approach them when they're off the bike and the bike is turned off, and that they can't just take off on us and there's no pursuit. So it's better for the public, better for the operator, and better for us.
There is any probably a campaign for social media saying, okay, this is the law in Lawrence or whatever, something around there?
So we use our social media as much as we can to get the message out to everyone, and also when we have community meetings, we also address the topics there.
That what we have in place will be enough to ensure some enforcement, at least? I know
Yes.
that this will be extremely difficult to do, to enforce this 100% since the laws that are in Massachusetts, but I mean, do we have a good plan?
So it has been successful regarding your new ordinances. We can now hold the motorcycle until the court proceedings are over, and a lot of times that'll keep that off the street, and also sends a strong message to other operators that if we do catch you, we're gonna seize your motorcycle until the court proceedings are over, which incurs quite a bit of cost on their end.
So essentially, if we get a motorcycle that is not registered and it's in violation of the law, they might be able to get it out through a court proceeding, or?
So once we'll summons them in or arrest them, they have to wait till their case is adjudicated, whether they're found guilty or some other outcome, and not until then are they able to get that motorcycle back.
When we get somebody and arrest them, do you guys keep those motorcycles at the police station, or we send it up to a toll?
The tow companies.
Okay, so that's the problem there. The reason why I'm saying that's a problem, because I have seen those motorcycles that they grabbed auction it out to the public again, and that's an issue.
I'll have to look into that to see, but it's my understanding that they're held until we say otherwise.
They do. Well, and then after that, they actually become their property and they need to auction it out.
Yes.
That's when they sell it back to their community. Not necessarily in Lawrence, but to other community. And then that's an issue there that I think that we need to do something different when it comes to especially motorcycles that are not registered. I'm seeing other communities that they don't put it up to auction it out again. And I know that it's a cost involved once that we have the towing companies getting it. and bring it to the facility, storage, and the toy and feed and all the stuff. That's the cost involved. We understand, but if we know that's going to happen, essentially, we're going to end it up in the same cycle.
Okay, I can touch base with the city attorney and see if there's another avenue we can take as far as that goes. But I think once they become the tow company's property, I don't know if we can dictate what they do with it, but I can bring that up with the city attorney. I'd be happy
Yeah,
to.
I think that the first thing we need to do or investigate is to see whether or not we can keep it somewhere that is not on the tow company's facility, because essentially they're going to auction it out, and that's going to become a problem again to this community, to other community. So if they don't take it, it won't be their possessions eventually. So that's kind of like, you know, the trick there.
Okay.
Councilors, any questions in regard to the enforcement, the plan, and we have here in terms of the motorcycle non-registered motorcycles?
I have a comment.
Sure. Councilor Infante.
Thank you.
Councilor
Through you,
Infante?
Chair. I just have a generic comment that I've been repeating over and over again, because I think it's important to emphasize this. And I first want to say thank you to the police department for everything that you guys do. Secondly, we can look into the auction stuff. We can continue passing ordinances, but the real issue, one of the real issues is that there's a lack of respect within our community. Just yesterday I was at Mount Vernon Park, was at the entrance, and a big crowd of bikers drove by doing stunts and everything and recording, and like, we can enforce our laws, but until we don't find a way or figure out a way to come together as a community outside of the main players that are continuing to try to resolve this, it's going to be the same situation. And I don't have an answer for that, but I know people watch our meetings, and I know they listen on the radio and stuff like that, and I continue to say the same message so people can at least hear it, and hopefully it'll, click. But thank you again for what you do.
Well, thank you. In the next item we have within the same group, item 21718, which is sex trafficking and prostitution in Lawrence. It was put together back in 2018 by Councilor Payano. Since then, update every so often about the situation here in Lawrence. So, any update on this item?
So I can give you a couple quick points that from time to time we run prostitution and John's things during the summer months when activity does pick up. We also, Lynette Perez, our Director of Police and Community Relations, and Kelly Frazier reach out to the homeless population and make sure that they're aware of resources that are available to them if they need it, because a lot of the prostitution comes from the homeless population. So it's an anonymous. They give them the resources and hopefully they take advantage of them. But we continue to do that.
And what about the any type of perhaps not program, but enforcement pop-ups or something?
Yes, we target prostitutes and the Johns from, like, we'll have a few different operations during the summer, and for instance, one day we'll focus on prostitutes, and the next day we'll focus on the Johns, and if whatever information we gather during these arrests, if we find out about sex trafficking rings or something like that, we share our information with the Mass State Police Fusion Center, who deals with sex trafficking. They have a special unit that we work with.
So, are we suspecting any type of sex trafficking rings in the city of Lawrence lately?
None that we're aware of. We have no intel that suggests that at this time.
Councilors, any questions in regard to this item, this update? All right, I hear no, so thank you so much. Thank you for the update. I think it's important for us to keep touch on those type of issues. The next item that we have is item 13317, which is the Lawrence Police Department the Lawrence Trust Act. It was a ordinance that went through in 2015 in the city of Lawrence. Section 9.20.060 require an update every 6 months from the police department. So we're here a little over 6 months, but I mean, that's okay.
That's okay, that's okay. So we continue to abide by the Lawrence Trust Act with respect to federal agencies. I know sometimes we'll have someone in custody, their fingerprints will come back, and it'll pop on a federal agency's wire, and then they'll send us a detainer, and they'll ask us to share with them if they're going to get bailed out. Of course, we're prevented from doing that, but we do attach the detainer to their paperwork, so if that person does go to court, court is aware of the situation also. But we abide by the act, and we've continued to do so.
So the act specifically said that the city of Lawrence will not share information, or not necessarily share information, but perhaps detain the prisoner that is when it's a low crime, perhaps?
So
How are you guys reading it?
So we don't target anyone for those offenses. If we arrest someone for another offense like a domestic, and we fingerprint them, it goes into a federal database, and that's usually when the federal agency finds out, and then they'll contact us. We don't contact them, and they'll ask us to notify them if they're released. But this agreement prevents us from doing so. So we don't do that.
So, all right. So we are awaiting the Trust Act.
Mhm.
All right, great. Councilors, any questions in regard to the Trust Act? I hear no. So we proceed. The last item is item 11413, put it together by 10 years ago. And this is in regard to the crime city statistic. It was put together by Councilor Vasquez, Councilor Reyes, Councilor Aquino, and with the main point of getting an update on crime statistics in the city of Lawrence. So give us an update of that, and we're going to highly appreciate it.
Okay, so I'll run down some the Part 1 crimes, basically the FBI Part 1 crimes. Homicide, we have 2 this year to date. Rape or sexual assault, we have 19. Robberies, we have 25. Aggravated assaults, 154, but those are broken into 2 categories, subcategories. Domestics, we have 70. Non-domestics are 84. And that number appears high, but a lot of times there's multiple cases within one incident. So there may be 5 or 6 victims that count 5 or 6 different times, but it's one incident. So that's why that number looks high. Residential burglaries are at 24 for the year. Commercial burglaries are at 19. Felony larcenies are at 24. And auto theft is at 44. And our calls for service to date are 26,395. That's a big number. Motor vehicle stops, we have 5,194, 752 arrests. And I'd just like to touch on something, if I may. I had our crime stat girl just kind of give us our clearance rates for these type of crimes, which are generally much higher than the national average. So we have, like aggravated assault, our clearance rate's 85%. Domestic clearance rate is 94. Non-domestic, 79. Burglaries, residential burglaries is 67%. Those are like huge clearance rates, way higher than the national average.
Councilor Infante?
What do you mean by clearance rates?
So clearance rate is if we identify who committed the crime, arrest them and prosecute them, or it doesn't take into account what happens once they get to court, but cleared on our end is when we've identified somebody and taken some type of action.
And when it comes to the state, you say that state and federal, how high, how low we are?
So they haven't given their rates out since 2019, but I know back then we were, I don't have it here, that's what I looked into, and again, they didn't give any stats since 19, and back then we were way ahead of the game. I don't have the latest numbers, but I can get those for you.
You mentioned commercial burglaries is 19 of them
That's
so far
correct.
this year. Can you, what do you mean by that?
So commercial burglaries are like businesses,
Okay.
or
So somebody
like
getting
a city
in
building.
and doing something, or getting in at night, or how that?
Yeah, anything other than a residential unit. So a commercial building could be City Hall, it could be a store, a bodega.
But I mean, when you say the burglary, you define that by going in at night or
On
during the day,
weekend,
an
off
assault?
hours, so when they're closed, basically.
Or when they close?
So it could be weekends, at night.
Because I mean, a lot of people are saying up there that there is some type of assault situation going on
Oh,
the
no,
commercial
no.
side.
No, it could be
Like during
the
the day
storage
and stuff like
facility, that counts as a commercial burglary, so if someone notices their unit's been tampered with or entered when they weren't there, that counts as a commercial burglary also.
So we have 19 so far,
Mm-hmm.
and you were domestic. We have 70 events or 70 situations that might
70,
have more than one. Is that also considered as one incident having different events?
so domestics, usually there's one victim, but if there are two, it would count as two separate cases. It goes by the number of victims usually.
So far we have 70
That's
in
correct.
6 months, since December?
Mhm.
Okay. Is that number high or low compared to other years?
Let me see. It's actually a drop of about 8%.
Okay. All right, and you also mentioned that we have served about 26,000 calls.
Mhm.
Something that it's important also for a lot of people is that with the motorcycle stop, a lot of motorcycle stop kind of like, could be used as a preventive tool for people not to violate the law. So we have done so far like around 5,000.
We have done 5,194 total. That includes vehicles like motorcycles, cars, trucks. I don't know the number of motorcycles. I didn't break that down.
But when it comes to motor vehicle stops, is that like traffic related, most of them traffic, or it could be policing?
It could be, in the course of their duty, they may, it could be a traffic offense, or it could be a safety concern, like maybe someone's taillights are out, and a lot of times we try to educate the public. I mean, that's our goal is to reduce the number of offenses happening on the street.
Can you kind of like narrow it down to see how many traffic stops we have?
Well, those are traffic stops.
Those are related to traffic.
Yeah, so it's vehicles in traffic, so anything that's considered a motor vehicle stop is some instance where a police officer pulls a vehicle over.
I know, but I mean, it could be anything. Not necessarily an stop traffic. It could be a safety situation, like you mentioned, like those. That's not necessarily considered traffic. That could be safety, right? Perhaps.
It could be, yeah.
Or or if you guys are just pursuing somebody because they commit a crime, that's not necessarily traffic. But I mean, I'm wondering to see, like, out of those 5,000 stops, how many were for traffic-related violations or
Okay.
traffic movements?
I can try to break that
Yeah.
number down further for you.
Yeah, I mean, that would be good. Councilors, any question in regard to this item? All right, here none, so, thank you so much. We definitely, I think it will be necessary for this committee to discuss these items. And, I highly appreciate you being here. Thank you.
Thank you, councilors.
Thank you. Thank you both. Councilor, at this point, I would like to, table those matters.
So moved.
Can you hear a second? Selena? All right, there is a motion on the table, properly second. I'll call the questions. Councilor Reyes? Councilor Stephanie? Councilor Infante?
Yes.
And I vote yes. So, motion passed. At this point, councilors, I will entertain a motion to join.
So moved.
All right, there is a motion on the floor. Properly second. I call the question. Councilor Reyes? Councilor Reyes?
Yes.
Councilor Infante?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Thank you so much, Councilor, and we're gonna start soon on the other meeting. Good evening and welcome to the Budget and Finance Committee. Voting members to my right, we have Councilor Stephanie Infante representing District E. To my left, we have the Vice Chair, Councilor Large Anna Levy. Pursuant Chapter 20 of the Act of 2022, this meeting of the Budget and Finance Committee is being conducted both in person and via remote participation. A reminder that a person who would like to listen or to view this meeting while in progress may either attend in person at the location above or use one of the following access locations: the Facebook Lawrence City Council page or the YouTube Lawrence City Council page. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Councilors, we have no minute to approve. At this time, we're gonna go to the top of the agenda. Item 17423, which is the fund transfer of $350,000 from free cash to the fire suppression overtime. Chief Brian Mariori, he's here with us. Chief, take this opportunity to explain to us this $350,000.
Yes, well, last year when we got our budget, I was asked straight up at this agenda if it was enough money. I said, no, I didn't think it was, that I'd be back for more money. We did our best throughout the year. We skimped and tried to get through it all. We moved accounts around, met with the mayor and Mark. We were able to come up with some money for our payouts for our retirement people that was coming out of our overtime. The school department paid us for their fire watches. So in the end, we still don't have enough money to get through to provide the same level of service that everyone's used to. And we're requesting $350,000 from free cash.
And this is for overtime.
Well, essentially, it's to get us through our budget. You can say it's for overtime, but we've had to pay for so many things and move things around, it's gonna get us through our overtime to the end of the year.
And essentially, you were explaining to us during the budget, the overtime, how you guys kind of like, operate. So three people's minimum per truck,
Three
right?
people per truck, yep.
And
We have
then,
4 assigned, somebody can be off or injured or vacant because somebody retired, but there's four spots. We work down to 3
Yeah.
before we hire.
And you mentioned that the overtime is split between 2 shifts, one in stand and the other one 14, right?
I'd say that again?
That the overtime shifts are split between 2, 1 10, 1 14.
No, those are our regular shifts. Our shifts are days, our 10-hour days. They work a 24-hour shift, but it's split in half for computations for vacations and personal times. It's a 10-hour day and a 14-hour night. We might only have to hire overtime for the day, or maybe only time for the overtime for the night, not necessarily, or maybe the whole 24, depends. But that's how the shifts are looked at, it's 10s and 14s.
And so you transfer people from a station to a station?
Yes, we do,
Okay. And that's a common practice, or that's something that
practice.
common practice? Okay. Councilors, any question in regard to this item? Yes. Councilor Levy.
Hi, Chi, how are you?
Good, how are you, Counselor?
So you said in here that you are predicting approximately $650,000?
Yes, and we met with the mayor and Mark found some money from, I don't know where he found it, but it's going towards our retirement payouts, so it lowered the amount that we actually need to get through the end of the year. So it came from another account to help pay off our debt.
So if we
makes
give it to you, if we approve to you tonight $350,000, so it's still before you're gonna need another 3,000?
No.
It's on the regular
300?
budget.
I predicted what our debt was, and we did. We were in the hole at 650, and we went with in the mayor's office with Mark and myself and Paul. And he has an account that he has in the budget set aside for retirement payouts. He was able to take that money, give it to us to help lessen the 650 down to 350. But I was trying to give you the whole story.
All right, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And it is important to recognize that on the budget, we have $300,000 on the budget, that is gonna be discussed on the 21st, right? That is towards this same account, for the overtime.
What does he
We
say?
have a line item in FY '24 for overtime, similar to this year. So it's possible next year we could be short. But as the chief mentioned, this year he was short 650,000. We were able to find 300,000 within his accounts to kind of make up some of it. And the compensated absence account is what he's referring to. When they have a few people retire, they have sometimes a $50,000 to $100,000 payout when an officer retires. And so that's why we have the compensated, uncompensated absence reserve. And that's so we were able to
Gotcha.
charge that to that, so.
So this allocation will be for,
Get through this year's budget.
just for fiscal year 2023?
Correct.
Okay, so we have, for fiscal year 2024, we have 300,000 on the line item.
And we have actually, like we have $1 million.
Yeah,
in our
yeah,
line
it's $1
item.
million,
Right,
yeah,
it's
so,
about $1 million.
okay. All right, thank you so much, thank you for the clarification. I thought that this was gonna be a supplemental for fiscal year 2024, but it's for this fiscal year 2023, okay. All right, councilors, any question in regard to this item? I hear none, so at this point, go ahead, Mark, you have
We
anything
just,
to add?
could I just ask that, because it's at the end of the year with many of these tonight, I'm going to ask if we can also have a motion to waive the 30 days.
Okay. All right, I'll entertain a motion at this point, councilors, to,
Motion to send it to the full council with favor recommendation
and waive the 30.
and waiving the 30 days.
Second.
All right, there is a motion on the table to send it to the full council with
With favor.
with a recommendation, waiving the 30 days as well, it's properly second. I call the question at this point, Councilor Levy,
Yes.
Councilor Infante,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Thank you so much, Chef.
Thank you very much, councilors.
Sorry. The next item we have is item 17523, which is the fund transfer of $1,618,910 from free cash to various reserve funds. It was put together by our CAFO, Mark Ianello. Mark, please explain to us this whole allocation.
Yeah, this is a transfer that we make at the end of every year. First on the list is basically, the main reason for this is to, we wipe out our deficit in the snow and ice account, which is 1.6 million. Normally that's sometimes 2 or 3 million, so it was only 1.6 million. And then we set up, or we add to the reserves that we have. This might be a good time to just go over quickly. I sent you the balance of reserves Friday night. If you don't have it in front of me, I have a few extra copies if you want to take a look at it. So we have a number of reserve funds that we've been maintaining for the last several years. And so on our request tonight is to fund many of those reserves and also wipe out the snow and ice deficit. So the first reserve we're going to add is the OPEB trust fund. The OPEB trust fund currently has a balance of $1,043,762. It's about a third of the way from the bottom of the page. We're going to add another $500,000. This is the third year we put $500,000 into the OPEB trust. The additional of $43,000 as interest earned on the account. So we'll end up, we're trying to, we owe actually over $450 million on OPEB, which is other post-employment benefits. It's basically health insurance for our retirees or for our existing employees that we're guaranteeing that will pay into their retirement. So it's a massive liability, very similar to the pension liability. And so every year I get on a call with Standard & Poor's. They want to know how we're funding our OPEB. It's always a hit. I explain that our policy is we're going to pay off our pension reserve, which will be paid off in 2037. And once we pay that off, we'll put all of the money we'll start funding our OPEB, which is a common practice. But just to it's not to keep them happy, but to let them know that we do have a plan to fund it. We are funding $500,000 every year. We take it out of reserves, so at least we can show that we're funding our OPEB trust and we are serious about it. The next one is a compensated absence reserve fund, which I just mentioned for the fire chief. That's it's an account we've been setting aside. We're adding to this balance, so the balance in this fund currently is $398,000. We're going to add $100,000 with this transfer to get it up to, it'll be up to $498,000, and that's to pay for employees who retire, excuse me, and have a lump sum payout for their sick, vacation, and so on. The next one's a workers' compensation claims reserve fund. It's the same thing. Employees go out on a workers' comp. We don't take it out of their budget anymore. We take it out of the workers' comp reserve fund. So we're trying to build that reserve fund up. So again, that fund has $353,000 in it. We'll add $100,000 to make it $453,000. The injured on duty reserve is the workers' comp for police and fire, basically. It's an injured in the line of duty claims. And that has a balance of $87,000. We're going to add $200,000 to get that up to $287,000. And then we have our stabilization reserve, our general stabilization reserve is $2 million. And I'm recommending that we add $2 million to that to build it up to $4 million. And that's an account that can be used. Free cash expires at June 30, so a general stabilization could be used for any purpose for which the government might need it, in case there's something that comes up in the fall, because our free cash doesn't get certified until late fall or early November. And then this is the account I'm setting aside, requesting that we set aside $5 million for a stabilization reserve for debt service, and that's for the Oliver, the Leahy, and the police station. That additional debt, so we start setting money aside. This is only $5 million towards that deficit, but next year I'll be asking you to put another chunk in there because we're going to have a large free cash because it'll be the remainder of our ARPA funds that we're turning into free cash at the end of this year. Pardon me. And then the stabilization reserve for litigation, we have $570,000 in that account now. We're recommending to add another $500,000, so we at least get it up to $1,070,000. And that's just in case there's any litigation or claims against a city of our size. It's very easy to get $1 million claim. We'd like to make sure we have that set aside so it doesn't impact the operating budget. And then next on the list is a capital reserve for paving and sidewalks. There's a memo from the DPW director. We're trying to get projects done this paving and sidewalks, I guess, during the summer months. So instead of waiting for a capital improvement plan, we decided to take it out of free cash so we can get those projects done this summer. So that's a $3 million reserve. And as I mentioned, the snow and ice reserve, or snow and ice account is $1.6 million.
So essentially, the reason why we're doing this is because free cash expires on June 30.
Yeah, well, we do this every year to build up our reserves, but June 30, free cash does expire, so you'll see these reserves that we did the same thing last year. We funded many of these reserves, and then of course we used it during the year. The uncompensated absence reserve fund, for example, we do use it. We also put some money into those funds from the operating budget. In the FY24 operating budget, I have another line item for $200,000 or $300,000 for each of those accounts. But that we spend, depending on how many people retire in the uncompensated absence, or the workers' comp claims, or the ILD claims, it is a substantial dollar amount. So we're trying to lessen the impact on the operating budget and try and build up our reserves. So in case there is a spike in workers' comp claims or ILD claims, we have the money set aside, so we're not impacting the workforce.
So we have the stabilization reserve that unrestricted rainy day funds. Yep. And we have a that could be used for anything, and we have the capital reserve for paving sidewalks. Those two are going to be two accounts that might be used.
Yeah, the capital
next
reserve for
1 or
paving
2
and
years?
sidewalks, if you approve this transfer, that will go into a capital reserve for sidewalks and street paving for DPW to start those projects. So those will be expended right away. The stabilization reserve fund, we just put money in that fund. We have to come back to the council and ask, just like free cash, we'd like to take some money out of the stabilization reserve and put it for X purpose. We'd come back to the council for all of those.
Any questions, councilors? I hear none. At this point, I entertain a motion.
Motion to send it to the full council with favor recommendation.
Can we waive the 30 days as well?
Okay, so wait the 30 days.
Thank you.
Second.
All right, there is a motion on the table, properly second. I call the question. Councilor Infante?
Yes.
Councilor Levy?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Next item on the agenda is item 17623, which is the SEAU Local 888 Parking Attendance Union CVA authorization and $20,000 funding approval. It was put together by the CAFO, Mark Iannello. So, Mark.
So just briefly, councilors, as I do with all the collective bargaining agreements, there's my cover letter, which explains we need a $20,000 transfer to cover the salary increases due to the collective bargaining agreement. Also attached is a brief synopsis, a contract synopsis, which briefly highlights the changes in the contract. And in this particular case, the contract expires 6/30/22. This contract covers 7/1/22 to 6/30/25, so it's a 3-year contract. We're updating the management rights section. There's a sick leave change, so if there's any sick leave abuse, we can ask for, a doctor's note may be required, and the union agrees with that. It adds Juneteenth as a holiday. In this particular case, these workers, parking attendants, work the garages, so they have a night shift, and they didn't have a night shift differential, so we felt that was reasonable for the second shift to get 50 cents additional per hour, and the third shift, those working on the third shift get 75 cents additional per hour. The agreement also allows for us to have an automated timekeeping system, should we do that. And then verbal and written reprimands are just to go to step 2, they don't go to arbitration. And then in this particular case, the cost of living increases, there's an adjustment to the parking attendants to increase their hourly rate to $18 per hour on 7/1/22. And there's a $1 an hour more for the utility parking attendant and $2 or more for the senior parking attendant. And then it's a 3% wage increase for 23 and 24. Also attached is my CAFO certification indicating that, yes, we can afford this without impacting governmental or city services. And then attached also is the signed memorandum of understanding between the city and the union.
Councilors, the agreement has been signed by all parties. Any questions in regard to this item?
Question.
Councilor Levy.
This is a 3 years agreement?
3 years, yes. 7/1/22 to 6/30/25. So it actually goes back a year.
So we're gonna go retroactive?
Excuse me, I didn't hear that.
Are we going to go retroactive?
Well, it covers the period 7/1/22, but there's no, the retroactive pay is, we're increasing the hourly rate from, I think it's like $16 or $17 an hour to $18, and it'll be retroactive to July 1. That's why we need roughly 20. All of these people work in the parking enterprise fund, so it doesn't impact the general fund, but we're requesting $20,000 or will cover the retro for all the employees.
So it's gonna cover the $20,000?
Yes.
Okay. So how many CEU we do have in the city of Lawrence?
How many parking attendants? Yeah, there are, I believe there's 14 plus 1 parking utility and plus 1 senior. So I believe there's 16 in total.
Union? Yeah? Yeah. No, what I'm asking is how many CEIU do we have in the city of Lawrence?
Oh, well, this is SEIU 888, and we also have SEIU Local 3. So there's two different SEIUs that, each of them represent, I believe, 4 unions.
Four?
Three or four. There's the Local 888 has the parking attendants, the library workers, the tradesmen, and the supervisors and administrators union. The SEIU Local 3 has the clerical, the laborers, the inspectors unit, and the water unit.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions?
And again, if I may request that we waive the 30 days, just so we can get the retro done.
At this point, I entertain a motion.
Motion to approve and send it to the full council with favorable recommendation and wait the 30 days.
Second,
All right, there's a motion on the table, properly second. I call the question. Councilor Infante?
yes.
Councilor Levy?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is item 17723, which is the SEIU Local 3 Inspectors Unions. The CVA authorization for the amount of $98,100 for funding to be approved. Mark, talk to us about that
So
one.
this is the same as the same format that I put together, a cover letter, which this is the inspectors union under Local 3. And this is a 3-year agreement that starts July 1, 22 to June 30, 25. It also, on my cover page, it's been approved by the union, and the agreement is signed. And on the front page is the transfers required to pay the amounts to the union members. There are a couple of employees that are in a grant, so a grant will pick up part of the retro, and we're asking the general fund impact will be $71,000. The second page is my contract synopsis, a brief synopsis of what's in this union. In this particular case, it notes it's a 3-year agreement. Some management rights for clarity changes. There's an increase in their clothing allowance from, I believe it was from 400 to 600. There's, if the city hall adopts our extended hours on Tuesday evening, they've agreed to it, so that's also covered into this agreement. Automated timekeeping system, issuing electronic W-2s. It adds Juneteenth as a paid holiday, just as the other union. And, they also, the city will make a good faith effort to see if we can explore the purchase of city-owned vehicles for the inspectors. That's a big ask, but we'll at least look at it. And then the cost of living increase, they have 2 job groups. There's a pay adjustment and in job group 11 of $2,000. There's a pay adjustment in classification 13 of $3,000, and then there's 3% wage increases. Also attaches my CAFO certification, again citing that we can pay it without impacting city services. And then there's the MOU between the city and the union signed by all parties.
Mark, this union is the one that we've been discussing for the couple of employees that we were trying to get out of the union, but I don't see the MOU.
Getting out of I don't think anybody in this union wants to get out of the union.
This
This
is
is
not
the
an inspector?
inspectors union? I'm not aware of anybody.
No, I mean, I thought that the chief assessor and the.
Oh, that's in the supervisors union.
Supervisor,
That's a
now
different
that-
union,
okay.
different union,
Gotcha.
not this union.
All right, I'm seeing the MOU here signed by all the parties, except one little signature here. Is that something that is the steward?
Oh, the shop steward, well, Lisa Ierson for the business agent for the union signed it. And, it's up to them if they want to get the shop steward to sign, they
That's
can,
fine.
but
I
as long
mean,
as she signed, we're all
At least
set.
we have somebody from the union that signed it. Councilors, any question in regard to this?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead, Councilor Levy.
Thank you. Just only a quick question. So, what do we need still? What is being needed for the extension of the hours on Tuesday?
Oh, that's, all of the intention of this is to keep City Hall open on Tuesday evenings till 7 PM and then have an early release on Friday. And it impacts basically for City Hall and also the Community Development Office. So all the unions that work in those two have agreed. We have, the supervisor administrators, the last ones, we have a pending agreement with them, waiting for their ratification. Hopefully they'll ratify, and they also have agreed to the extended hours. So once all the unions agree to the extended hours, we can implement the extended hours. But the idea is on Tuesdays, everyone would work from 8:30 to 7 PM, and on Friday, it would be 8:30 to 1 or 1:30 on Fridays.
So Tuesday is gonna be considered, so if these people start working like a Tuesday up to 7 PM, but they leave on Friday, is a compensation of the time?
Well, it's the same number of hours that they'll work. So they would work, Monday, 8:30 to 4:30, Tuesday would be 8:30 to 7, and then Wednesday and Thursday would be 8:30 to 4:30, and then Friday would be 8:30 to 1 or 1:30, depending on which union that they're in. I believe it's 1:30 for this one. I don't know,
Up to 7 PM.
yeah, sure it's in here. I'm sure I put it in here somewhere. Yeah, here it is. 8:30 to 1:30 with no lunch on Friday. So it works out to the same number of hours worked. In this particular case, I think this union works 36 and a quarter hours per week.
Yes, but, I'm sorry? Okay, so there is no like a pay for those hours, like a overtime? No?
No,
It's
no,
gonna
there's
be-
no overtime. That's why we're swapping out. That's why we negotiated. Well, they stay late on Tuesday to get an early release on Friday. That was pretty, a lot of
same- the
people like
same.
that idea, so no overtime is required. Now, if it was a holiday on a Friday, like Good Friday, that would be a holiday, they would get the full day's pay.
Okay, thank you so much.
Councilors, at this point, if there is no more questions, I entertain a motion. And we need to clarify that the impact of the general fund is going to be about $71,000 you mentioned?
Yes.
So we should state that in the motion as only $71,000 impact?
I think yeah, it couldn't hurt. I mean, as long as it's part of the motion to approve the transfer.
Yeah.
Cite
So
the amount.
councilors, do you have the right amount?
They're explained in the cover memo, so if you just accept the collective bargaining agreement and the reserves as indicated in the memo.
Okay, let's put it as indicated on the memo. I entertain a motion at this point.
And if we could get the 30 days waived as well.
Motion to approve and send it to the full council with favor recommendation and wait the 30 days,
Second.
As stated in the memo.
as stated in the memo.
All right, there is a motion on the floor, properly second discussion. I hear none. All those in favor, I'll call the questions. Councilor Infante,
Yes.
Councilor Levy,
Yes.
and I vote yes. The next item is item 178-23, which is the year-end transfer between departments' accounts.
Yes, Councilor, this is again, something we do every year. It's a chance to, before, we like to close the books without any deficits in anyone's accounts, and also to take care of any miscellaneous transfers departments need to get through the year. We do this every year. So attached is a cover memo for me just explaining that we have to make these transfers, and the council has to vote on them in the fiscal year. And attached is a number of 3 pages of basically transfer requests from certain accounts to another account. So I think there's 13 of them listed here. I'll just review them really briefly. But the first, number 1 is just some accounts to transfers between accounts to take care of the auto insurance was more than the previous year. And also there's a little bit, we needed a little bit more in unemployment compensation, $16,000, and we took it from various accounts. Item number 2 is something similar. There were some deficits in the mayor's, or projected deficits in the mayor's office. It basically had a temporary employee. We had a vacant position for it, but then when the increases for the non-bargaining went through, that ate up the amounts, but we have money within the available accounts to take care of that. Police operations had a big increase in their fuel. I guess there was a mix-up in the prior year with the fuel at the yard, and I think the fuel for the police was being charged to the DPW key, and so this year they needed almost 170,000 in fuel and lubrication to bail out, but they had it within their accounts, so we're all set there. Item number 4 was just a transfer within the city attorney's accounts. He just needed a couple of dollars to put in the litigation to pay a claim. Item number 8 was, again, some small transfers within the fire department. They also had a little diesel and gasoline overage, and take care of that one. The item number 6 is a transfer to the veterans disbursements. The veterans payments to veterans under made by Jamie is going to exceed its budget by about $21,000. So there's money within a few accounts within the Council on Aging and the other accounts for the Veteran Service Department. Item number 7 is a big one. We had a new trash collection, so there's a large, for the solid waste contract, the disposal and the collection, they're going to have a shortfall, so we were able to transfer that within the general fund accounts, and there's also a free cash transfer that's required to fund that contract through June 30th. Item number 8 is another small transfer for the fire department to get their diesel for their fire apparatus division. Item number 9 is, again, some transfers from various accounts to community development and some DPW transfers. Item number 10 is within the parking division. They have interest on their principal and interest on the debt service for the museum square. We charge that fund, so we're making a transfer from their retained earnings to cover that cost, so the general fund doesn't have to pay it. There's a small transfer for the airport enterprise fund and the water enterprise fund as well. And then there's the last item, number 13, is a capital project. It's actually, we had a digitization of digital records for the city clerk's office approved a few years ago as a loan order. Our bond council says it was okay to borrow for that, but the Municipal Finance Oversight Board voted against it, so we're taking out of free cash to wipe out that account. It's something we originally intended to borrow. So we're going to close that account, but it needs $83,000. And that's it for the explanation of the year-end transfers. Quite a mouthful there, but we do this every year.
Councilors, any questions in regard to this item? No? All right, at this point, I entertain a motion. Councilor Levy, have a question?
So all this transfer need to be done before June 30 or before July 15?
Well, they're for June 30th, but we have actually until July 15th to make the transfer. The Mass General laws allow these transfers between departmental accounts, and the state took into consideration the June 30 year end. So that's why we usually put a placeholder with the city clerk, because we don't know what the amounts are. We analyze everybody's accounts right up to the last minute, so we'd get as close to June 30 as we can. So we did this, I think this is as of Thursday or Friday of last week.
Mark, I have on item 3, can we go over this?
Yep.
So we have a transfer from the police operations permanent salaries of 103,000. And then we have a transfer from $12,000 for the repairs and maintenance, office equipments. And we got a transfer from the professional services of the police department of 54,000. And that's gonna be transferred for fuel and lubrications.
That's right, so those are the,
So,
they had money within their accounts to make up their deficit for fuel and lubrication. The fuel and lubrication, as you recall, is that's the DPW pays the bill, and then they send a bill to the departments to transfer. And DPW didn't have enough to transfer the 169,000, so the police department were able to find it within their accounts. They had, again, vacant positions, vacancies in their department left a balance in their salary account, basically, and then a few other accounts to make it up.
No, my question is on regard that we always keep on requesting more funds for professional services, and we always hear complaints about the equipment on the office. So and then we taking $66,000 for those 2 things.
Well, they didn't spend it, so they needed it for fuel.
That's the question. Why they
Yeah.
didn't spend it?
Well, I don't know particularly repairs, the maintenance to office equipment. I don't know what was, usually I'm sure they use that account for, things inside, because they also have repairs and maintenance for vehicles, which they usually use that up. But, so this must have been a balance in the account that they didn't spend. And same thing with the professional services. I think they had, we might have had money in there for public health services, and maybe they didn't use them all. I mean, again, it's just a guess at the beginning of the year. So before we search for free cash or anything else, we want to take it within the department's account, so they limit their spending before the end of the year.
So we have on item number 2, we have that the Human Rights Commission didn't use the $8,000,
Right.
and also $3,500 for office supplies. Do we have an explanation as to why they didn't use that?
The Human Rights Commission, I don't believe there's a position that we funded, I think it's 25,000, and it's not filled. The position's not filled.
Okay. And then we transfer those funds for permanent salary for that, for the mayor's office, 4,378. And temporary salaries, 28,500. What is, what was there that we have temporary workers at the mayor's
There was
office?
one temporary worker that, a student that works in the mayor's office, and believe at the time they brought in, call him a student intern, but at the time they wanted to hire the student intern, they didn't have the money in the budget, but they just left they had a vacant position. And then they filled that position at some point, and I think, so the temporary salaries, actually, no, they did leave the position vacant, but the increase in the non-union bargaining, I think, ate up the rest of the salaries in their account. So that account, that's the largest account that had a deficit, and they had some slight deficit in their permanent salary account. As you can see, longevity was 1,100 short. Somebody must have hit the next 5-year or 10-year mark, and they just didn't have it in the operating budget. And
Okay, and this is 28,533. That was the deficit of one intern?
yeah, there's just one intern in that office, and that's the only person charged a temporary salary account.
28,000, wow, for an intern. Because I remember a year and a half ago that we approved 40,000 for interns at the mayor's office. So, and that was with the agreement that we were gonna hire multiple interns.
Well, unless there's more than one intern there, but I just know one intern always works there. We see him all the time, Julio, so he's usually he's usually around. I don't know if there's another, I don't, maybe there's another intern charged the account, but that's the only one I'm aware of.
Is that person still an intern, or he's a permanent job?
Yeah, he's still paid as a temporary employee, so he's not a full-time mayoral aide.
Understood. Councilors, any questions in regard to these transfers? I hear none, so at this point, I entertain a motion.
Motion to approve and send it to the full council with favor recommendation and waive the 30 days notice.
Second.
There is a motion on the table, properly second discussion. I hear none. I call the question at this point. Councilor Infante.
Yes.
Councilor Levy?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Next item on the agenda is item 17923, which is the fiscal year 2024 annual authorization revolving funds and authorization to spend an amount of $357,980 pending funds. Is what's put together our CAFO, Mark Ianello. Mark, please explain to us a little more about this.
So what again, every year we have these revolving funds. There's and my cover memo kind of explains which, or highlights which ones they are. There's a Bellevue Cemetery revolving fund, Council on Aging revolving fund, a Recreation Park Self-Supporting Service revolving fund, the Veterans Memorial Stadium revolving fund, Library Programs revolving fund, and a PEG Access and Cable related fund. So those are and attached for each one of those is an order for the council to record. For example, the first one, authorization of Bellevue Cemetery revolving fund, and in there we, in the third paragraph, is an estimate of the limit of expenditures they can charge to that revolving fund, which is $95,000 in this particular case. In this particular case, the cemetery revolving fund, money that goes into it is the sale of their containers, and then they can use it for items within for the cemetery. The Council on Aging is very similar. Again, they have an expenditure limit of $150,000. That's where they put all the revenues from their programs that they run on a daily basis, and all the money in that fund is used for the Council on Aging expenses for their programs. Same thing with the Recreation and Park revolving fund. That has does not have an expenditure limit, but it does have the funds that do go in there, it has a limit of $10,000 in that fund, but it has it can be used on recreational activities. The Veterans Memorial Stadium revolving fund, there has been very little activity in that fund, but they are, assuming they get back up and charging rent and take in revenue and so forth, if they do get up to that, they could. We do have a limit of $100,000 per year, but they haven't raised $100,000 per year in quite a number of years. I think they're I don't have, actually I might have the numbers here somewhere, but they, hang on one second. What did they take in last year? I have it. Find it. Pen down. Recreation. Stadium, yeah, they only took in about $7,600 last year. So they're really down to a zero balance account, so I doubt they're gonna raise $100,000, but historically we have, if they take in $100,000, they could spend up to $100,000 in this revolving fund. The Library Programs revolving fund is a smaller fund. It has expenditures up to $50,000, although I don't believe their balance is that high. Let's see, and then the last one is the PEG access. That's the programming access for the school department, education access, basically a cable channel that the school department runs. That money comes directly to the school department, and they use it to do the educational program from the cable bills. And those are the 6 revolving funds that we currently carry. They need to be annually reauthorized.
Councilors, we're reauthorizing the revolving accounts. Any questions in regard to this? I hear none, so at this point, I entertain a motion.
Motion to approve and send it to the full council with favor recommendation.
Second.
All right, there is a motion on the table, properly second. Any questions? I hear none, I call the question at this point. Councilor Levy,
Yes.
Councilor Infante,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Thank you, Mark. Next item, we're gonna jump down, we're gonna go down a little bit on the agenda, and I'm gonna take item 18223, which is the authorization to spend grant fund of about $7,000, ECCF summer funds. Janet Abreu, she's here with us. Councilors, we have received this for a couple of years now. Send grant, we have questions. I hear none, so at this point, I entertain a motion.
Motion to approve and send it to the full council with favor recommendation.
Second.
All right, there is a motion on the table, properly second. All those in favor, please say aye. I'll call the question at this point. Councilor Levy,
Yes.
Councilor Infante,
Yes.
and I vote yes.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Have a lovely night.
All right, next item on the agenda, going back to the top of the agenda, is item 18023, which is the appropriation, insurance proceeding estimate of about $502,258, parking school roof, school roof damage. So, Mr. Gaffel, explain to us.
Yeah, so basically what happened was, I guess over the winter, I think it was December, I think they had wind damage on the roof, blew off a section of the roof. We put in a claim. It's roughly a $500,000 claim, but it's not final. So any insurance claim over $150,000 requires us to come down back to the city council to expend those insurance proceeds. So the motion that we're asking the council to take is, there's an estimate of what this amount will be of $502,000. But I just learned that it could be a little bit more. We may be able to get a few bucks more out of the insurance company. But the authorization tonight is whatever insurance proceeds we do actually receive will be spent on the Partham roof. And it's estimated in my, the last summarization that I received from the insurance company, it was $602,000 and $258 claim with a $100,000 deductible. So the city was going to receive $502,258 to repair the roof. So they're trying to get this work done this summer so they can open in the fall.
Councilor, at this point, do we have any questions in regard to this? I'll entertain a motion at this point.
Motion to approve and send it to the full council with favor recommendation.
Second.
Do you need a 30 days waive?
Yes.
And wait the 30 days.
As well as the past one. Councilors, any questions? I hear there is a motion on the table, properly second at this point. I entertain any question. I hear none. So I'll call the question. Councilor Infante?
Yes.
Councilor Levy?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Next item on the agenda is item 18123, which is submission of fiscal year 2022 city audit to the city council. I don't see anybody from that, from Sullivan.
No, this is just I'm just submitting it to the council, then we'll, depending on the council schedule, get Powers and Sullivan to come in. But I just want to make sure you had them. That's the first thing, is to get them to the council, then get it on the agenda.
I mean, that was basically, that was done once you put it up on the agenda, no?
Well, once we get it on we receive the reports, they should go to the council when we receive them. And then when we're able to arrange Powers and Sullivan in the city council schedule, we have to arrange the date to make sure they can attend when you guys need them.
Yeah, just have them come next time that we have it.
I'll see if they're
Finance.
available the next
Yeah.
budget and finance, assuming it'll be on a Monday night I'll have to look in the calendar, but
Yeah.
after the,
So
I'll
after
try
the
and get them for
20,
that
we'll
night.
say June 27? No, 27. Around there.
yeah, I'll
June
get the
27, I
schedule. And I'll see if they can make it
No,
that
no, not
night,
June 27, June 25th.
So we have,
be the 26th.
26?
so we have a discussion of the budget
No.
on the 21st.
21st, and then that's gonna be on
And
the
then
26th.
the next Monday will be the 26th.
The 26th would be normally when the Budget and Finance would meet.
Yes.
I'll see if Jim Powers is available that night, if he's already booked at another town, a selectman or a city council. But
Yeah, because, I mean, we,
if it's not that one, it'll be the next one.
we usually have them come twice
Twice,
for the
that's
budget
right.
and finance,
That's right.
which is on the 19th, and then the following meeting, which is gonna be the first week of July, which is what? Dale, Julio.
That one might be a little trickier because it's a July 4th
The-
holiday,
Okay, I think that the meeting on the first week is going to be the 5th.
the 5th, right?
That is Wednesday, because the 4th of July is Tuesday.
Yeah. So the question is Jim on vacation that week? But
Or
I'll
the-
find out and I'll
Yes.
let the,
The 5th
Councilors know.
or the 18th.
right.
Yeah, let's arrange them to come on the second
Yeah.
meeting of July.
I'll kind of
18.
check out their schedule, but
Yeah.
first I wanted to get to the council so you have the reports, and then you can be prepared to ask any questions.
Yeah, I think so that it's going to be much better on the 18th than the 5th.
So there's no motion really needed for tonight, it's just information submitted to the council?
Yes, the only thing that we have to, I'm sorry.
So,
You might just want to, put it, leave that as an item on the council agenda and
well,
table it.
today, they submit it to us, we have it at this level. So when they come back, that they're able to come, and then we're gonna discuss the audit
Yep,
at this level, which is gonna be on the 26th, tentative.
26, yep.
And then, also have them separate the date of
The full city council.
following, the full city council meeting, which is gonna be on July 18th.
Yeah, I'm going to try for June 26th with the budget and finance and July 5th for the city council.
No, July 18th.
Oh, July 8th?
Most likely, a lot of people gonna miss the
Okay.
June 5th. I mean, we have a holiday too.
Well, so, but the 8th is the, July 8th is a Saturday.
18th.
Oh, 18, oh, 18.
It's the second meeting of July.
So skip the first one, okay, gotcha. Yep. Okay, yep.
All right, next item,
But we have to table.
no,
because
we didn't take them out.
No?
We didn't take them out.
Okay.
Did we? I mean,
Yeah, we take them
okay, let's table it.
Motion to table.
Can I get a second?
Second.
There is a motion on the table, properly second, discussion, no discussion on table matters. Councilor Levy? Councilor Infante? And I vote yes. Next item on the agenda is item 21623, which is the acceptance of grant insurance of Mass DOT, which I won't be able to stay, so we're gonna lose quorum. So, Director, unfortunately, I won't be able to discuss this. I'm gonna have to abstain to this item.
Okay.
And we're gonna lose quorum. So what we'll do, I'm gonna recommend the full council to take it out of, pull it off committee,
Okay.
and you'll be able to discuss it at that level.
Okay.
And
Sounds good.
I didn't look at it. I just saw the word Mass DOT. I need to. I apologize.
No, that's fair. That's fair. I
We
mean,
have like a full quorum.
sure.
We'll be able to discuss it because I just abstained, but we're missing somebody today,
No,
unfortunately.
that's fine. Yeah. So I'll attend the full council.
All right.
Thank
At least
you.
it's easier because you don't have to discuss
Absolutely.
it at this level. You
Yeah.
go
All
straight.
I'm looking for is giving the having the mayor give the council gives the mayor the authority to sign on the grant assurances that follow as the letters of the
Yeah.
law as part of this grant. That's all we're looking for.
Yeah,
Nothing controversial. Just that the funds need to be expended before the end of the year.
I got you.
So,
But at the next meeting,
The next-
please don't forget
oh,
to remind me the number and
okay.
we take
I
it out.
appreciate it. Thank you very much, councilors. You all have a good
All
evening.
right.
Good evening.
Thank you so much, Councilor. At this point, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
All right, there is a motion on the table, properly second. I call the question. Councilor Infante?
Yes.
Councilor Levy?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Thank you so much, councilors.